Hello, everybody. This is Verdict, and thank you so much for stopping by. Now, I would like to welcome you to a project of mine, which was a really fine suggestion by a person who is a part of the Classic Compendium, the Paladin Compendium for Classic, that is. And that Paladin Discord is so dear to me that I would love to see you guys in it. I'll put a link down in the description. It's a Discord about Red Paladin Theorycrafts. It has a guide for both retribution and protection over there, and I would love to see you guys there. But I haven't gotten this suggestion in a long time. Probably because I was gone for a long time, but since I'm kind of back forever, or at least for the time being, I will be back for some time, I swear to you. I really wanted to give what the community wants, and I've got the suggestion so many times. And the verdict. What is the verdict? It's gonna be something like a podcast type of thing, where we really talk about issues that the Protection and Retribution Paladin in World of Warcraft Classic has. Is going to talk about new discoveries, things that made the Paladin a lot better, and at the same time how to fix them, how to address these things. Because the first episode, which we're going to do right now, is Greater Blessings of Kings. Whew, like, where do we even start with this? Like, there's not a good, it started here, and it ended here. Like, it's weird. This is one of those bugs where it makes no sense. It is a bug, but it was a part of World of Warcraft Classic as a string that was left in the code by accident. Or at least this is how we would think that it's there, and it literally dealt threat, similar to what the Warriors heroic strike 5% to like 6% hit for humans does, right? It's exactly that. And I don't really know where to begin this, but I hope that the first thing to mention is the discovery. Now, the first time I really heard about this was from Askalon, who was we were talking in this Discord. It's called the Pretty Lame Paladin Sheet, which I'm no longer a member of because I to be fair with you, I got banned from that for being an absolute dick to one of the moderators there. Deserving or not, I was a dick, and yeah, I'll just stop with this over here. But Askalon was literally like almost yelling his lungs out in a chat forum. Yo, you guys have to see this. You guys have to see this. And he made this video about, I think it was Askalon though. He made this video about Greater Blessings of Kingspan. In fact, let me see if I can find it. Askalon Gabok. I think it was his. I think it was his. But anyways, there was this video about Greater Blessings of Kingspan, and I was so literally like shocked that this was in the game, to the point that not just me, everybody was like, yeah, this is getting patched, this is not gonna come through, this is a bug, clearly. And like 4 weeks or like 2 months later, we literally got a confirmation by Blizzard, hey guys, not a bug, it was actually in the reference client, which is what the reference client is. To the people who don't know, because many people don't know, it's pretty much World of Warcraft on the old engine. We're playing on the new engine right now, but with the old graphics, and they've just aligned all of that in order for it to be playable. And once I saw Askalon's video about that, I was shocked. Blizzard said it's not a bug, and the Paladin community didn't just cheer. Every single protection and who was already a Prot Paladin was like on the ninth heaven, and every single Retribution Paladin wanted to play a Prot. At that moment, everybody was like, what the actual hell? This is ridiculously strong. It was so strong to the point where Warriors wouldn't be able to outthreat Paladins. It would be ridiculously strong, and it's gonna be like that up until Black and Glare ended and AQ40 came through, when Warriors just started scaling far too hard, and Thunder Fury became a thing. And and I wanted to just talk about Greater Blessings of Kings today in a manner where we should talk about it, because it's the worst way to play a class, not just a spec. See, hardcore guilds are using not protection paladins, they're using holy paladins spec'd into Improved Righteous Fury and Greater Blessings of Kings to do what protection paladins do for, casual or semi-hardcore guilds, or some guilds with an emphasis on hardcore, right? So you're gonna see in really hardcore guilds, alliance players would just get a holy paladin to spam on Gluth, Ritual Blessings of Kings, you would see on the Prophet Scarum and on Kel'Thuzad, Holy Paladins just put every tank gear that they have, all avoidance, whatever there is possible, and spam Greater Blessings of Kings whenever there are mind-controlled targets. They would go to them instead of randomly killing the raid, and they would literally be so tanky to the point where nobody really could one-shot them, or at least not be close to one-shot. And not just that, the potential of this was so huge that it put the Paladin onto, if not the first spot as a tanks, at the very least in Black and Claire and Molten Core, then on the second for sure, Druids being the third. And this was literally so unfair to Warriors that I thought about the 6% Heroic Strike bug, unfair for every other melee class. But now I see if you were a tank and you saw a Paladin doing this, then I would think about, okay, this isn't fair. And how do we fix this? What if we are to give a suggestion? And why would you even give a suggestion at first? Well, I don't like Greater Blessings of King spam. Not because of what it does, no, in fact the threat is more than welcome. I'm a protection paladin myself, but I don't like the fact that I don't use Consecration, I don't use Judgment, I barely use Holy Shield depending on if I need to do it, because Holy Shield is a threat loss compared to, in some scenarios, compared to Greater Blessings of Kings. Now, it is avoidance, but I use Holy Shield rank 1 for the avoidance while keeping on to spam Greater Blessings of Kings to save mana. And why would we even give a suggestion to fix that? Well, Blizzard shot the survey out to a lot of people, not a lot, to a few people, about doing changes to World of Warcraft Classic. Essentially, this is, hey guys, what do you think about Classic Plus? And 90% of people don't want Classic Plus, and I understand them, but they don't understand what Classic Plus is to begin with. See, Classic Plus, this is how you should think about it. Classic Plus is the prelude. It is not prelude is not the right word. It is the first step to fresh. Everybody wants fresh, but nobody wants to experience the same bugs and mistakes that the first Classic has, right? People don't want to experience the world buffs the same way they did. People don't want to experience PvP the same way it did. People don't want to experience the horrible state of Zul'Gurub and Molten Core. And by horrible, I mean it was absolutely a joke. People want a challenge, and people want something to keep it fresh. The definition of fresh is to get something new, not just repeat the mistakes. And if you ask me, if we're to ever get a fresh, we need to go through Classic Plus first. Because Classic Plus is going to give us that fine experience for us to actually get into fresh and say, whoa, okay, this is so good. And I'm a huge fan of that idea. It's like clean the dog shit out of Classic and re-release it for the sakes of people who love it. So, with this survey, clearly there are intentions on Blizzard's behalf to do changes to the game which they hate. Blizzard absolutely hate Classic Plus. Don't think otherwise. Classic. Classic. They hate Classic. Don't think otherwise. Classic is for them reliving the worst time of their existence as a company, where everything was done so bad, so unbelievably bad. Everything was so pathetic to the point where they literally can't help themselves but try and fix things. Now, I don't blame them, and I don't blame people who don't want that. You know, the coin has two sides. But if we are to make this a good way to be played, because Warriors don't like Paladin tanks, because it takes away from them. And Paladins don't like the fact that they have to spam one ability to be viable. Okay, so we covered that. Druids are like, they're different tanks. Like, Druids and Paladins never clash for a single piece of loot, except a ring and Molten Core and a ring and Nax. So you get the idea. And with that being said, how do we fix it? Okay, I have an idea, and listen to me. Now, what really makes the Protection Paladin's threat outside of Greater Blessings of Kings so bad? Well, the base damage of the Paladin is really low. But not just the base damage being really low, that's holy damage, because Righteous Fury emphasizes on holy damage threat. It's not affordable to deal threat, and at the very same time, if you are going full threat, then you're going to burn your mana. That is really not the not affordable part. But at the second time, a second thought, it's not enough threat. Now, Seal of Righteousness has a pathetic scaling, which was addressed in the Burning Crusade, where Seal of Righteousness was really good. both for two-handers and one-handers. Believe it or not, like, it was really good. It felt as a powerful seal. And in classic, the scaling is 9.8, I think it was 9.8 for one-handers. So to give you a good idea, if you enchant your weapon with 30 spell damage, then that Seal of Righteousness is going to deliver 3 damage more. Right? It's pathetic. 3 damage more. If you put a Righteous Fury 90% on it, that's going to be like, what, 2.6. Right? That's going to be 2.6 threat more on top. So that's going to be 5.6 threat for 30 spell power for Seal of Righteousness. Then that's going to be 72.9% for the Judgment and yada yada yada. And like, it's going to be literally 2 damage or 1 damage for Consecration per tick, and you get the idea. But here is the thing. It's not the base damage which is low, it is the increase of threat from Righteous Fury which is the bad part. See, Paladins are not too far behind on damage. If they are tanking a boss and they use Consecration, the Judgment, the Seal of Righteousness, the Holy Shield, then their damage is actually not that bad. Because the base of Holy Shield is actually good. It's really good damage. But it's not bad. It really isn't. Now, what if, I have a few ideas, and I have two ideas, with one which I thought about literally before I started recording this. What if the first idea is, okay, imagine that there is no Greater Blessings of King spam, and there isn't a reason for us to talk about that. Okay, well, we need to find a way to figure out how much threat this Greater Blessings of Kings does. Now, we know how it does for a single player, but on an average, depending on the raids, well, 90% of the raids in the game have 9 or 10 players of the same class. And the majority of the times, that's a warrior class. And the second one are mages. It's warriors, mages, and all of the rest. Paladins are kind of third, shamans for horde side are quite a lot in raid. You get the idea, but overall warriors are on high demand, and in Nax, almost 90% of the guilds have 9 or 10 warriors. Hardcore guilds run with 13, 14. There are guilds of socials that don't really care about that, but it averages onto 9 to 10 warriors. So that's gonna be something along the lines of 700, 800 threat per second for Greater Blessings of King spam, because a global cooldown is 1.5 seconds in Classic. So if you average that, that's gonna be like 700, 800 threat per second. Okay, sure, fine, no issues whatsoever. So if we are to say that that is the value of threat, then what can we do to, remove Greater Blessings of King threat spam and add 700 to 800 threat into the Paladin kit? How do we do that? 2 ways to do that, really. One is to either buff the damage, which is an absolute no-no. You should never touch damage in World of Warcraft Classic. It's perfect the way it is. You should never touch damage. And the second part is, okay, but what if you tinker around with the threat of Righteous Fury? Because it's already bad. And here are my 2 suggestions. And as I mentioned, I'm giving these suggestions out for the sakes of World of Warcraft Classic Plus and Fresh, and all the people who are excited for that, myself included. I'm more excited to play Fresh than play the Burning Crusade, just letting you know. And with that being said, there are 2 ways to really think about Righteous Fury. One of them is to either make Righteous Fury, the 90% spell Righteous Fury, or any really just Righteous Fury, scale with spell power. That's one of them. But that's a knife with 2 edges, because let's just say that spell power, you get 200% scaling for every 1 spell power. So every 1 spell power gives you 2% threat, right? So if you have 300 spell power in a raid, then you're going to get 600% threat, right? So, okay. Now, that's still not enough. Just letting you know, that is still not enough threat. I just need to let you know, 600% threat of holy damage in its worst base stats, it's still not enough. Now, what if we do that? Well, it's going to be ridiculously unbalanced, and I'll tell you why. See, Consecration threat will become so much to the point where it could bring Paladins to trouble. And not just that, it's going to make the demand for Consecration far too big. Okay, so that's the first issue. Consecration is a direct threat per second calculation. Consecration usually does 55, 56, depending on your spell damage, of course. Usually 55 to 56 holy damage per second, which is near 100 threat per second. So Consecration is 100 threat per second. Okay. Now, if it was 600 threat per second, based on the 600%, right? Now, if it's increased by 600 additional percent, it's obviously going to be, more or slightly less. Now, of course, diminishing returns from the partial resistance are still going to happen, and they're going to be more effective now compared to the previous ones. So, if Consecration is to be done that, then 600% is too much. Then the threat from everything else would be too much. So no matter how you narrow it, it's going to put far too much emphasis onto spell damage scaling protection paladins. So it's going to make paladins prefer to build for spell damage rather than build defenses tanks do, right? So this was the thing that I thought about initially, and that was months ago. And I thought about it and I was like, no, this is not a good idea. And then I started working out a different way. I started theorizing a different way to fix that. And then I came to my second idea, which is I'm sometimes frightened by how many good ideas I have. And if I were to ever create a game, and I hope that one day I will be able to, it's just a dream of mine, that I think I'll do a good job. Now, let's draw this example out of how Seal of the Crusader works, Judgment of the Crusader works. See, Judgment of the Crusader is really, it states the following, right? Increases the holy damage taking of the judge target by up to 173. This is the base of rank 6. But let's talk about by up to 173. Okay? So there is a threat coefficient there. Right? So what if we take this, sorry, there's a holy spell damage coefficient there. What if we take this and put it into Righteous Fury? Now, what if Righteous Fury stated increases the threat generated by your holy spells by up to 600%, or by up to 500, or by up to 400, whatever Blizzard damns see appropriate. And from then on, Blizzard could navigate. They literally could navigate left and right on what spells should get more in order for not to emphasize far too much on one spell, or to make another spell just deal so much threat to the point where you shouldn't use it, or Holy Shield being far too important, and if you don't get Holy Shield procs, then your threat is not going to be good enough, as it really, Paladins are so dependent on Holy Shield if Greater Blessings of Kings is not there, that it's ridiculous. So I thought about it. Okay, well, what if we make, sorry, my nose is full. What if we make Judgment, the spell Judgment, with Seal of Righteousness and all of our spells? Okay, what if we make that get 300%? Ooh, yeah, that sounds good, doesn't it? Yeah, you kind of see a meta shift. You kind of see, okay, let's get hit capped. Okay, let's get spell hit capped. I like where this is going. Okay, what if we give Consecration 200% or 150? Just make it a little bit better, even though it shouldn't be. If you look at numbers and how things are, Consecration deals enough threat to sustain AoE damage from casters, at least at the very start of the game in Black and Clair. For example, I myself with 200 spell power don't need to worry about technicians pulling threat away, and with king spams, I don't really worry about that. Consecration is well enough to sustain that. Or into an Extremis, how much threat is it going to take for a paladin to be able to tank the Skittles? Or, all of these things, how much would be enough for all of the spells to dip anywhere from 0% to 600%? And here I thought, okay, well, improved Retribution Aura, 30 spell damage per hit, right? 30 holy damage per hit, 600% sounds really fair, doesn't it? It's really low base damage, but yeah, that's really good. 600% sounds really good, doesn't it? So that's amazing. Then I thought about, okay, the normal Seal of Righteousness, which is really where the issue of the Paladin threat resides. See, Judgment is fine to deal a lot of threat because it's a spell that you cast once 10 seconds, unless you've spec'd in it. And barely anybody really specs into Improved Judgment to begin with. And I thought about that, okay, what if we do that, with 200%? You get the idea. It's all about maneuvering how much is enough to redistribute the threat not just based on the situation, but to overall say, okay, Paladins deal this amount of threat. Let's redistribute this threat from the Greater Blessings of King Spam into that. And I was really like, wow. And many people then think, okay, Verdict, sure, but what's going to happen to the improved Righteous Fury talent? Okay, and I thought about it too. Now, improved Righteous Fury talent increases the amount of threat generated by a Righteous Fury spell by 50%. I just quoted that from the tooltip. And, okay, but what if it states the following? What if it states by up to 400%, and that's the base value of it? What if it's not 60% as it is right now? It's up to 400%. And then with this, it increases by 50% on top, which makes it up to 600. Yeah, that makes good sense, doesn't it? Or increases the base coefficients by 50%. Ooh, that sounds even a lot better. This actually sounds a lot better. Now, all of these are simply ideas. By no means am I a game designer yet to know enough, but I've played Paladins for such a long time to the point where I think I know what the crap I'm talking about. So with that being said, my friends, let's go to the third one. And this is a clunky one, but I really thought about this and I was like, well, okay, sure. What if Blizzard make a Libram that doesn't require, the use of symbols for creature blessings? That was the third one. And then make it so that for every target judged by Blessings of Kings, to increase the threat generated by Righteous Fury. Sorry, to increase the percentages of Righteous Fury. So this means that, imagine the holy tree, the protection tree, and there is an arrow to the left after Righteous Fury, and that arrow points into that. You've seen this really in the Burning Crusade talents. It happens there. The left or right arrows where they lead to another improvement, it happens with Holy Shield. And imagine that this is there, so that you'll be able to take Blessings of Kings after you've taken Righteous Fury. Or vice versa. Yeah, this sounds really good. And I thought about it. Imagine that you just have 10 people and you buff them with Kings and all of a sudden you deal the threat. Yeah, that's gonna be good, isn't it? So yeah, guys, these are my suggestions. If WoW Classic is ever to happen, and there is somebody from Blizzard who's ever gonna listen to my video, even just one person, man, that's all I hope for. Just to leave a small imprint on the history of the Paladins, man. If I could do that, then my life would be the best. Because let me tell you, I'm a lot less without this YouTube channel and nerding out on the Prot and Red Paladin. I'm a lot less of a person without World of Warcraft. And I just want to say a huge thanks to the people who watch all of my videos, to the subscribers who, no matter what content I put out, they're still watching. I know you guys, there are a few out there. I love you. I really do. And not just them, everybody who just cares enough to just come by and say hi or just watch a few minutes of the entire thing. And to everybody who is about to be a newcomer, thank you so much for joining. And please, don't forget to join. I love this. I live and breathe Paladins. And with that being said, my friends, I'm about to head off. This has been The Verdict, Episode 1. I kind of like it. I kind of like just running my mind rampant without, having to cut here and there. So, with that being said, my friends, I love you. I really do. Like, no fucking joke. I said fuck. I don't give a fuck. You take care, guys. Have a good one. Bye-bye.